Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. 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 Parrot TV.
The Literary Corner, brought to you by New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity. Hi, welcome to New York Parrot's Literary Corner. I'm Dustin Pickering, your noble and honest host. Welcome to episode 205. We've reached our 200th episode milestone. Today we have Davide Rocco Colacrai, who was born in Switzerland. He is a legal expert and Italian poet. Since 2008, he has won more than 1,000 literature awards and has published 9 books. The last one was titled From the Same Substance of Our Fathers, and it was published this year. He loves reading, playing piano and harp, collecting 7-inch singles. He has 2,000 pieces from all around the world, and walking with his dog, Mutiu. Thanks for joining us on the program today. David, how are you?
Hi, thank you very much. So I'm from Italy, so it's a pleasure to know you, to meet you, and I'm very happy to be here.
Excellent. So I'm curious, what is the secret to winning 1,000 literary awards with 9 books? And in contrast, 9 books and 1,000 awards, that's quite a interesting how do you go about winning so many awards with comparable with so few books? I mean, that's amazing.
So I don't have an answer for you, because usually I make myself the same question. I think that I usually say that I'm ready to publish a book when the book is ready and when I am ready to talk about the book. So it's like having a son or a daughter, and you have to be prepared, for the book. On the other hand, usually I write when I have something to tell. Especially they called it poesie civili, so poems about history or historical facts, and it seems that they like my poems, and I'm very happy.
So, tell us a little bit about the process for your recent book that's upcoming, that we mentioned in the bio. It's an interesting title, and I'm curious, what does the title mean, and what is it? Where did you come up with that?
So I would say that the first thing that happens to me when I had the idea to write a book is the title. So I have the title, and I know exactly which poems I have to choose for that specific book, and then the book exists. So what does the title mean? I don't know exactly what the title means. I think it's very Shakespeare. That means that maybe we are from the outside we are very different. So from each other, but in fact we have the same father, or we are from the same universe, or we have the same spirit, the same soul. Maybe so we are not that different as we think. Maybe is that the meaning of the title.
Interesting. Would you say that a lot of times the poetry in your books are commentary on the titles themselves?
I will say yes. I will say because so I don't know many colleagues, many I would say poetry colleagues, but when we talked together with the few that I know, they told me that they choose before so the poems and then the title. But in my case, and this is the reason why I only have one books. I usually know I wake up in the morning. I know exactly that I have to realize that book, and I know the title, and then I have a lot of poems in here around in my house, and I know exactly which one I have to choose to maybe to explain what I would like to say with the subconscious title. Let's say it in this way.
So, when you're editing your books, when you're putting them together and compiling them, do you already have the poems and then the title comes, or do you have the title and then you write poems after the title?
No. So I would say that I never wrote a poem for a book. So my poems are there usually, and then I have the title in my mind. So I wake up. For example, tomorrow morning, I will wake up. I have this title. This I don't know, David. Let's say that the new book has the title David, and then I know exactly which of the many poems that I have, which ones I have to choose, and in which order I have to place them. And it takes no more than I would say 5 minutes to put together the book.
Wow, that's impressive.
It's very strange for me because
it's a very different process than I'm not used to hearing. It's interesting.
Yes, in a couple of interviews that I had in Italy, I said that I feel like a medium, like I'm there, and in 5 minutes I have the book in front of me, but I don't know exactly why, when, and then when the book is ready. For example, this is the last book. I had to read it myself to understood why I had to to put together all these poems for this book.
Right. So we recently at New York Parrot, we published one of your poems. Could you tell us a little bit about what inspired it? And the title is especially interesting. I think it's a kind of a pun, a little bit of a pun. So could you tell us a little bit about that poem?
It's Malabal. Yeah, I love that poem very much because the title. It's so I took it from very famous Italian writer. I don't know if in the USA I Malavoglia is a famous book, but in Italy it's very famous. And why I choose the title, because I was on holiday in Puglia, and it's in the south of Italy, a very beautiful place. And I felt that I had to write this poem about the sea and about the wine and about how it's to be in the south of Italy, because in the south of Italy people have a very different life than people from the center or from the north of Italy. And I thought that Malavoglia was the perfect title. So it matched together very perfectly.
Interesting. And it had a little bit of a kind of like a lovelorn kind of emotion to it a little bit. So
exactly.
go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry. And in fact, I don't know how many Italian read Malavoglia, because it's a very classic book, so not a modern book, and not everyone likes classic books. But in fact, who knows the Malabal, I think that they understood the poem very well, because Malabal, it's about a family in Sicily, and how it's a big family, and every son had the idea to fight against the sea to find luck or a better life than living in Sicily. And not everyone had the chance to find the life that they wanted to find in another place than Sicily.
So that may be a little bit where the kind of feeling of lovelorn emotion comes from, the longing and the wanting to transcend your limitations and going forward in life. And I like that insight, though. I'm glad that I mentioned the poem, because I'm sure a lot of the readers of the poem didn't really understand the reference. I didn't understand the reference, though. I'll say that. I didn't understand it. I didn't know it. I just liked the poem. I thought it was great. So thank you for sort of explaining it a little bit and giving us some ideas about it. Do you listen to music when you write at all? You said you're a collector of 7 inches. Do you put on some music and relax, and when you're writing, just kind of let the music take charge of you a little bit?
Mm-hmm. So I love music. This is a fact. So I'm a collector of 7 singles from all around the world. I'm very proud to say that. But I don't have space in my house, because it's covered with 7 singles and books and awards and everything else. So maybe next time I have to stay outside of my home, and
let's travel across the seas, as you mentioned earlier, just to find a little island and set your awards and books down, and then maybe you can just listen to music in your house. It'd be interesting. As you told before, I'm a piano and harp player, so I'm learning harp. I have to say this since the beginning of this year. But I love playing harp very much, and it depends. So sometimes I listen to music when I have an idea and I know that I have to write. Maybe it's only the first step. Usually you have to put on the paper everything you have in your mind, but it's only the first step for your future poem. And sometimes I listen to music, and sometimes I really need to be silent. So no music, no stress. It's like, I know it's crazy to say, but I said before, it's like being a medium. It's like I just feel like my body and my body is in hands of, I would say, of the universe, and then I have to stay very quiet and then let out everything feel or I think. Yes, it depends. So I don't have a rule. Right. Like there's like almost like being inspiration is like being struck by lightning, and the electricity just volts through you, and you spirit it out and let it happen. And for me, those are some of my best poems, have been ones that have just flooded out of me. Like, when I try to force it or I try to cultivate it in some way, it sometimes interferes with the dynamics of it and makes it a little more of a stodgy poem or a rough poem than I want it, and it doesn't feel as natural. And when I'm in those modes, when I'm and the inspiration, it's like I get completely engrossed, and I just you can't get my attention anywhere. You can put on a music or you can do anything, I'm just completely engrossed, and I just don't have anything. I shut the whole world out, and I totally relate to sometimes needing silence, sometimes putting on a little music. Music can be a distraction sometimes, and sometimes it's very the fluid motions of it go into you, and you feel it and you think it, especially if there's lyrics. I sometimes rip off songs when I'm listening. I hear a couple words and say, "Oh, that's nice," and I just flood with it, and it's very fun. It's an interesting process. Does your knowledge of law or your understanding of law go into your work at all ever?
You mean law as my job, my usual
Yeah,
job?
like you mentioned,
So
occupational. Hmm.
yeah, so no, I was a lawyer
Okay.
for a couple of years, but I have to say I didn't like very much. So it's not like being a lawyer in the USA maybe. So in Italy we don't have that stuff of things that for
Right.
to take care of it. And
Mhm.
so I decided to do something completely different. So I'm not a lawyer anymore, and I do something very, very, very complete. I would say opposite than law.
Right. So,
But, but I'm
other than
sorry.
that,
But I'm
mhm,
sorry. I have to say, and this is very important.
okay.
I had can I say in English a professor at the college professor. Yeah. So I had a professor at the college, and he told me something very interesting. He told me
Mhm.
that when you study law, it's not possible to put all your energy in law, but it's so. He was very happy that he had the chance to be a poet too, because if you put all your energy in law and in studying law, maybe you will be crazy. And I think that he was right. Yeah, I think he was right because
Yeah.
and I don't know how it is in the USA to study law, but in Italy we have for every law, criminal law, civil law, etc. You have for every law you have so a book. Usually it's around 1,000 2,000 pages. You have to learn everything, and then you go and they ask you 3 4 5 questions, and if you are able to answer those questions, then you have passed your exam. So it's I think yes,
Hmm.
he was right because it's very strange to
Okay.
learn everything, to remember everything, and then from those pages, they only ask you two, 3 or 4 questions, and you have to answer them all. Otherwise, you don't pass the exam.
Wow, that's an interesting process.
Mm,
And
mm.
you mentioned an English professor, and that brings to mind, mentors in writing. Have you had your own mentors, and what role do you think they play in the writing process for a poet or a writer?
Mhm. So I personally didn't have one, and I don't have one, and I'm very sad. So I think that I say to myself that I'm a little bit jealous of all that of all my colleagues who maybe have someone who helped them or in a certain way who inspires them in writing poems. I can speak for me. So I would say that I write since I can remember. So maybe I was a very young kid when I wrote my first poem, and it was not a poem; it was a kind of love letter. I remember
Okay.
it, and it's a little bit embarrassing, but
As
it's
early writings can be.
it's
Yeah,
a fact,
true.
yeah, and I hope that little girl has my love letter.
Hmm.
So maybe in the future, he can make a lot of money. I hope. I hope.
Love letters of a famous poet framed on the wall, and
Exactly.
$12,000.
Exactly. But for me, it's so I would say that usually I read a book, I see a movie, I hear a story, I read newspapers, and from all that, and in all that I have my inspiration. So it's not a person, and I don't have someone who helps me, who assists me, or who inspires me. But from all the stories I'm surrounded by, I have the inspiration I need to write. The only and this is very important. The only writer I love him so much, and I will say his name. The only writer I I was I had too much ideas, and I was not able, and I'm not able today to write a poem about one of his books. Is Mitch Album. I don't know if you read his books. I love him so much. I read everything we had in Italian or in German because I speak German too.
Wow.
I read every book I found, and I love him so much. But every time I read a book, a Mitch Album book, I'm so of I don't know. It's something that it's something magic, I would say, and I'm
Mhm.
not able to translate it in poetry.
Interesting. Well,
It's
we're
too
going to take
much.
a brief break
It's too
and
big.
we'll come.
It's too big for me.
Excellent. I'm glad that somebody's inspired you like that. We're going to take a brief break and we'll be right back with some of David's poems. Thank you for joining the program today.
Keep watching the New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome back to episode 205 with David Colacrai. Thank you, Sanka Sen, for that wonderful piece of music and you performed for us. And so, David, would you like to read us a couple of poems in Italian?
Absolutely, I'm very happy, and I want to thank you for your pronunciation, for your American pronunciation of my name. I love it. it's
Trying my
better than
best.
it's better than the Italian one, believe me, because in Italian nobody understood it. It's very strange, but in English I like it.
I just read it as I could see it, basically.
Thank you. So the first poem I would like to share with you is from a book I love very much, but I don't know how the American title is, and it was very famous here in Europe, in Italy, and it's a book about four friends, and for friends, and how and they talk about their past, and one of them is called Jude. I'm very sorry because I really don't know the American title. But my poem is called L'assioma impreciso della felicità, and I dedicated it to Judd. It's one of those four guys from the book. E per la prima volta oggi è sbocciato un fiore di rododendro dai rebbi del mio destino, quasi volesse mostrarmi che la mia vita assomiglia alla sua, incerte e fragili entrambe, e senza misura, il respiro che attraversa lo spazio tra le dita in un calore improvviso e ci ricorda di quando nostra madre ci ha stretto in un abbraccio che non sapevamo essere l'ultimo. Ho portato con me il colore che scopriamo nel silenzio per troppo tempo. Nemmeno la finzione dei giorni mi ha distolto dal dolore che non è riuscito a diventare parola. Vergine nella forma e impreciso come l'orizzonte umido di mare. Una sopravvivenza all'amore, al pronunciare la felicità, al mio essere stanco come una stella all'alba. Ho cercato il mio significato e ho capito di averlo perduto il giorno in cui mi sono accontentato di una storia che non era la mia. Quando il mondo sospingeva il pulsare delle mie vene verso un guscio vuoto, senza carne e senza nome, quasi un dado in balia di una promessa che si apriva dal 300. Sapevo sin dalla nascita, o forse persino dal concepimento, di avere un assioma da provare, la croce bagnata di liquido amniotico, senza la benedizione della luna che mi ha tradito, la finzione di una vita come tante. Occhi chiusi e lontani si ribellano ancora adesso ad essere complici di Dio e si fanno fiori di rododendro tra le mie mani grandi di questo primo e ultimo atto di inizio.
Well, thank you. I love hearing the Italian. I love the language. It flows very smoothly. Would you like to read another one for us?
Yes, and then I really wanna check what's the American title of the book, because I was so impressed by that one, and it was so beautiful. Mamma mia, we say in Italy. Let me see. Yeah, I have another poem that I dedicated to Nick Sheff. I know that in America it's very famous because he wrote a couple of books, and with his dad, and then I saw the movie. One of the book here in Italy is called Beautiful Boy, and the movie is also called Beautiful Boy. In Italian, my poem is called Canto di un minatore per un cuore d'oro, and the title is from Heart of Gold by Neil Young. So I found a couple of words that I really like for my poem. So, the poem Canto di un minatore per un cuore d'oro, dedicata a Nick Sheff. Cos'è questo vuoto che, attraverso il mio caos che vibra, mi lascia sprofondare quasi impercettibilmente nella bocca dell'universo al suo peso millimetrico infinito? Conto i ricordi che sono impressi nelle mie braccia, piccoli e precisi, pleniluni di fragola sporcati dalla notte, che, nella loro fioritura, ridimensionano l'uomo che non vuole assomigliare al padre e cancella, almeno per un istante lungo quanto il respiro di un girasole, il bambino che lo vorrebbe, perché sente che per sopravvivere tutti abbiamo bisogno di un eroe. Sono costellazioni di amore e odio che mi risucchiano in irresistibili vortici di vita e ombre, di insonnia a digiuno, di avvicinamento morbido e crudele alla morte senza assaggiarne mai il frutto. Una specie di favola nella quale navigare senza direzione nel destino e con i gesti che restano impigliati all'inchino del giorno, con gli occhi traslucidi come le cose. Cerca l'amore, la nuda come il tempo e liscia come il ghiaccio, un contatto per capire se l'ultima eco di madre che permane nelle stagioni può soccorrere l'asse storto del mio tormento, ai cui piedi nedicano lacrime che non riescono a dissetare l'inferno che mi veste di follia e prostra dove non arriva la parola e l'amplesso del mondo è un silenzio che fa troppo rumore e rende i miei cerchi di sangue cigni nudi d'agosto. Chiedo me stesso al mondo, a mio padre di dirmi sì un'ultima volta e a Dio di scendere dalla sua croce a far salire me. Sono stato un minatore per un cuore d'oro e sto invecchiando, ma continuo a cercare un cuore d'oro. And this last one, as I told you before, is from Heart of Gold by Neil Young.
Okay. Excellent.
I was very impressed by this story by Nick Sheff and in his book Beautiful Boy, because it's about, I would say a very ordinary family. I will not say American, because an ordinary family, you can find it, I think, everywhere in the world, so in Italy too. This guy, it's the son. This guy, he was very good in school, and so one day the father found out that his son is drug addicted. And then I will not say sad story, because it's not sad, but it's very, so it was like somebody beat me, so I was there and I felt the pain of the father from one side and of the son from the other. And then after I read the book, the movie came out in Italy with Steve Carell, and and I felt that after read the book and after watch the movie, it was important to tell the story, because I usually think that there are there are many stories that maybe are very famous for some people, but unfamous or unknown for others, and it's very important, to tell them from my point of view, from my art of feeling, and let these stories then let these stories be poems, and through poems then reach more people possible.
Interesting. So it's about empathy and getting telling a story, and you kind of, as you keep mentioning, sort of channeling the energies that are prompted to you, in a way, and putting them on paper, and it's a very interesting process. I call it being a conduit. That's the word I use, conduit. It's like something comes into you, and just spirit flows through you, and you work it out, and you put it into a poem, and it. There's any number of stories that can be told infinite number of times in different ways. So it's really interesting to hear, and especially to hear the Italian language being, you reading that in Italian. I really enjoyed listening to that. So how do you think today's poets can address some of the problems that the globe is facing right now?
It's a very tough question. So I say that so I don't know in America, but in Italy, not many people are readers in general. So
that's true here.
Usually they prefer read books. We say in Italy narrativa, so not poetry. Poetry is the last, the eisel, where you can find yourself. So, and that makes me very, very angry because I think that it's very important to be open to all kind of books, to all kind of stories and poetry too, and not only because I write poems, but I think in general it's very important because you can read a book about history, or you can be interested in a book about I don't know about maybe it's a memorial. You can read a book about poetry and find yourself, because the difference between I think the difference between poetry and other type of arts is that in poetry you have the chance to find yourself, because poetry, I tell you a story, but when you feel, if you have the courage to feel, when you feel the story, when you feel what I'm telling you, you have a kind of feeling that it's not mine and it's your way of feeling. And this is very important. And because of that, you have the chance to find yourself, maybe to understand something more of yourself, about yourself. I think this is the difference between other kind of art. But it's very hard for every I will say for all my colleagues and for me too, because you said I won a lot of awards. I published 9 books and blah blah blah. But in fact, I'm not famous as someone in the music industry, or maybe as someone in Hollywood, or
Right.
maybe like Mitch Album in the United States. So it's very strange. So I don't have an answer, but I always invite people to read poetry, to
Right.
have the patience, because poetry. So when you have this book, it's not that long. I would say it's around 60 pages. It's not like you cannot have. I say that you cannot, and it's wrong if you do it. For me, if you think that in 2 evening or in 3 days you can read all the poems, because in this way you are not able to understand one word or one message in my poems. So this kind of books, and I hope you agree with me. You have the patience to let it there. It's like wine. You have to be patient.
Absolutely.
So every evening or every morning, or when you have time, you can open a page. You can read 1, 2 verses or the entire page, and you have to think about. You have to feel, and not every day it's the same. So you have a day maybe where you find yourself more, or and you feel yourself, and you have the chance to feel exactly what we say. You have other day where you are absolutely closed in all the emotional ways possible, and then when you read something, you read and understand a word. So
Right.
we have to be very very patient, and as I said, it's like wine. So if you like wine, you know that
Savor
you
it.
have.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You have to be very patient, very careful, and you know that you will appreciate. You will. Yes, I will say appreciate. Then at a certain point, poetry is the same for me. But
Absolutely.
I hope you agree with me.
I totally agree with you. I don't want to speed read a poem as much as I would speed read a textbook on astrophysics or something. So what would your final message to our viewers be?
So my final message is that what I really dream is to have one world where we discover, as one of my professors told me once, where we discover our inner garden, and we take care of our inner garden because we have one. So every one of us has an inner garden, and that inner garden is unique. That means that if we have respect and we for our inner garden and we take care of it, we have the chance to create a better world. And a better world means that every one of us has a gift. And maybe I can write, you can sing, someone else can be a good doctor. So everyone has a gift. And I think that it's very important to discover this gift and to let this gift, grow like a flower.
Absolutely, that's a beautiful metaphor to use for for cultivating the soul, the garden you mentioned. So, would you like to give any shout outs or thank yous to your friends and family, or some fans, maybe people who have supported your work over the years?
So, no, first of all, I would like to thank you for
thank you too
for this opportunity, and it's a pleasure for me, to speak English and to improve my English, because I know that maybe sometimes as I sound too much Italian, maybe too much German, but
it's hard to navigate so many languages.
I hope you understood all my words. But I'd like to thank you. I would like to thank Simona, because she worked for me and for this opportunity. And no, I would like to thank, and I was thinking this morning, I would like to thank the universe, because the universe is energy, and usually the universe gives us many chances, many opportunities, and we have the chance to take one opportunity or more. It depends if we have the courage or not. But what the most important thing is the inner garden. So I would like to repeat it again, to take care of the inner garden. So not only on the outside, because we live in a world where everything is material. Everything is the outside, but if you are so beautiful on your outside, but your inner garden is that, I think that there's not too many things you can share with the people.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today. It's been a wonderful and pleasant discussion. I loved hearing the Italian language. We've heard it a few times on the program, and so it's definitely wonderful to hear it again. So today was the 205th episode. We've reached a 200 episode milestone. So thanks to all our viewers that have been there since the beginning. We appreciate you so much. Thanks to all our donors and people who have supported us throughout this long journey that we're continuing and in good faith to present to the world what creative writing is, what it means to the world, what it can do. So just keep writing out there, guys. Don't give up. Keep reading. It's very hard right now for all of us in the world. So just keep doing this. Just keep providing hope for the world and the words that we need to survive. So if you'd like to donate to the program to help us with production costs and improving our programming, you can do that at paypal.me/nyparrot. As you see on the banner there, paypal.me/nyparrot. And we're looking for creative writers. We focused a lot on poets. We'd like to hear from novelists, playwrights, and other fantastic writers out there of all varieties. If you write self-help, fiction of any kind, anything, just get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. You can get in touch with me, Dustin Pickering, at literarycorner@newyorkparrot.com. You see that on the banner there. That's a really lovely blue banner. It blends right in with my the flash on my face here. So if you would like to do that, just please do. And please, another way you can support us, if not through donations, is to tell others about the program and invite other fellow writers. That if you've been on the program, invite your friends, anybody that writes as well, to get in touch with us at that address, that web email, and talk to us about the program and being a guest. We need more guests. We would love to hear from anyone who is writing right now in this very difficult time and dark times we're facing. So please do get in touch with friends and family and anyone that's out there who would like to be on the program. And again, we've reached over 200 episodes, which is a wonderful record for this program. And we're releasing Series 2 of The Literary Parrot. Series 1 was an excellent success. We're glad for all those who helped us with that. And we would like to get in touch with others who've been on the program since that in the second quarter of this program. And we're going to be emailing you further. We've emailed several people. If you haven't got that email and you've been on the program, let me know. Just email me and let me know, and I'll be in touch with you again and make sure you do get that email. So without further ado, have a lovely afternoon. Subscribe to the channel. Bleep, blank, blank right there on YouTube. If you're watching right now, just hit that red button. It'll be a wonderful opportunity to be in touch with us. And you can comment on the program live. Don't forget, ask questions, leave comments, tell us how great we're doing or how not great we're doing. We'd love to hear that as well because we love free dialogue. If we're not doing a good job, tell us. But do subscribe, tell your friends and family, and get some guests on this program for us. And we'll continue to look out for you guys in the creative writing communities all across the world. This is the best and only platform globally for creative writers. Now, get out there, do some writing, do some reading, get some poetry in your veins, and savor the moment. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
They often wonder aloud, can't we go back to the good old days when protesters were like Martin Luther King Jr., peaceful?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
We answer, have you forgotten he was murdered as well?
What so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleam through the pear.
Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. 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 Parrot TV.
The Literary Corner, brought to you by New York Parrot TV.